You're watching Gamescom Studio on IGN. I'm Brian Altano. That's Per Schneider from our weekly show, Nintendo Voice Chat. Earlier this week, we got a 45-minute direct for the spiritual successor to the GameCube classic Kirby Air Ride. It's called Kirby Air Riders, directed and created by Masahiro Sakurai. And here at Gamescom on the show floor, we got to play it. So let's get into it.
Yeah, we stood in line for a while to get our playtime in. And the demo had basically a tutorial set up. And then the city trial mode, really one of the core modes of the old game that people actually liked way more than the racing stuff. The racing stuff wasn't in there, at least I didn't see it. And
they didn't let us play it, which I'm a little bummed about.
The folks from Nintendo didn't actually know whether it was in there either at the time. But, you know, it looked like it was all city trial, and then you could pick 4 different challenges at the end.
Yeah.
How did yours go? They let me skip the first tutorial options, which were like, press left to turn left and stuff. I saw you did them.
So just a heads up for those watching at home, we are the experts in video games here at IGN, so I'm going to give you a quick pro tip. When you're playing Kirby Air Riders and you want to go left or right, hit the left or right joystick left or right. That's a little cheat code for you guys, little advanced secret before the game's out.
Yeah, I mean, you say that you know this, but when I was looking over, you were doing those tutorial modes. Like, you were
They did ask me to So I had to clear all 10 tutorials before they let us actually play. But what's important about Kirby Air Riders that was present in the original is that it's not necessarily a game that plays itself, but it's got a very simplified control scheme. Within all that, there's some room for complicated and advanced technique, but you will sort of move automatically without having to push anything.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. So this time around, on top of the original, with holding the B button to kind of pull back and boost. Think about kind of like taking a rubber band and pulling it back, right? And releasing it. You've also got a Y button, which after charging up, doing actions throughout the world, you can use to unleash like a flurry of attacks. You played as Starman?
Yes, I played the little chubby Kirby Mario Star lookalike.
Yeah.
By the way, they increased the number of buttons used by 100% for this game.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's the power of the Switch too, baby.
Yeah.
No, and I played as Meta Knight because I was just like, I want to hit some people with a sword. And so, yeah, they threw us in a couple of different tutorials that gave us sort of a lay of the land of, here's what happens when you jump off a ramp. You want to like level your car a little bit. So
it's got like a snowboarding game mechanic, right? Where you get an extra boost if you land straight on the ground. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of technique in it.
Yes, there is.
And it does remind me of Smash Brothers, where it's like, it's very simple to get in and understand what you're supposed to do, right? Like knock somebody off the platform, but like the way all the stuff you can do is actually quite complex and quite deep. Now, will most players discover it? I think that this depends on the age group. It is pure chaos, right?
It is pure chaos. Yeah. And there was, I had some gripes with the way it controlled because you're largely using 1 or 2 buttons and the stick, but to interact with some of the things in the environment, namely like item boxes, when you want to break those open, in Mario Kart, you just drive into one, right? And obviously this isn't Mario Kart. This is taking some sensibilities from Smash, which is like, you want to pull that stick back and forth and you want to smash stuff.
Yeah.
In a racing game that isn't on a 2D plane, that gets a little trickier. So you're doing a lot of like wiggling and shaking of the stick.
You can also smash, you can like hold B and charge up, and you almost come to a stop, which is very different from drifting and boosting in Mario Kart, right? Like you have to slow down. So it feels a little bit more like a Kirby platform or something like that. But you can smash into the boxes, then you get power-ups. The whole point of City Trial, it actually reminds me a little bit of games when I was a young lad, back in the 1800s. We used to have these games that had multiple phases.
Yeah.
And like nowadays, board games, like tabletop games have that. Like there was a game called Archon where you had a chess part and then you had a combat part. What City Trial is, it's this sort of, get as many power-ups as you can, or, go after the ones you really need to boost certain elements of your character, like your stats, and it's a ton of them, right? And then also combat against your friends and engage in like sort of events in the hub, like a giant pillar of like magma comes down and like everybody heads towards it and tries to smash it. So they boost into it or they waggle the sticks in order to beat it up. When it explodes, all these power-ups come out, and then everybody frantically tries to grab them or smash into each other to steal them.
Which I got very lucky. I watched that event happen in the world. You and several other players are all smacking the heck out of this tower, and then you all get into a little skirmish catfight off to the side.
Yep.
And I was like, cool, 20 items for free for me. So that was fun, but like I think the actual direction of what you're doing moment to moment can be a little crazy. The world is not big. The city is not big by any means, but there are portals that let you hop around. There are these sort of dimensional rifts,
rails that you ride.
Yeah, and so like there's a whole bunch of different things that you can kind of grab and collect on the way. But you're largely just kind of running around in circles and smashing into each other, which it felt like a sort of less, measured take on Mario Kart's battle mode, where you don't necessarily have like 3 balloons in front of you.
It's chaos.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Like, it is
right?
chaos, and it's like one phase of a 2-phase game, right? Like you have to. It's just chaos. Everybody beating each other up. You can get your machine, your rider can be destroyed, and you have to start over. Like all sorts of stuff can happen, and like you start sweating, and then it goes to the second phase where all the players have to pick 1 of 4 things, and they're very, very different things. And so depending on what you powered up, you could be prepped to be amazing at the next challenge, like flying really high and fast or going really fast, right? Or you could be screwed a little bit because everybody else picks something that they're good at, and like you kind of miss out.
Which was odd because I played with a couple people, including you, in our row, and we all had a sort of recommendation button on the side of our thing, and mine was different than the rest of yours.
Yes.
So I picked that one, and I ended up in a match with 7 other CPUs.
So that was only because of our setup. Like with the final game, when you're playing online, even if you pick, like you are forced then to go into our challenge, I believe, right? Like you will not be off on your own is what the gentleman said. So yeah, I was confused by that as first too. But I mean, generally, I played the original Kirby Air Riders when it came out way back when on GameCube. And I have the same impression now than I had then. I'm like, I don't know if it's for me. Like, just to be completely honest here. Like, it isn't. People say it's like a fighting game. It isn't. It's like it has phases where you are trying to smash into people. You don't have that sort of full control over it because your ride always auto drives and you have to sort of slow down to boost. Like it feels like a really weird stop and go experience to me.
It does, yeah.
But when I played it when my kids were really little when the original came out, they obsessed over it. They loved it. This was their favorite game. I still have the disc. It's completely scratched because they loved it so much. And they just love this sort of gathering, chasing down the best ride and like upgrading. And I can see how it will appeal to people who are not necessarily into the sort of, nuanced gas and brake controls and just love the chaos of it all.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, I'm kind of in the same boat where I think I'm a little more traditionalist when it comes to like, when I want to play a game like this, I'll play Mario Kart. When I want to play a fighting game, I'll play a fighting game. There's enough like sort of arcadey fun here. I'm wondering where the depth is in terms of like unlockables, like progression. Like, are you getting new characters for doing more actions repeatedly? We saw a character select screen that is half full, right? Like there's all this empty space down there. And Nintendo fans know, and Sakurai and Smash Brothers fans know, that when there's blank spots on a page like that, new characters are coming. So what's going to happen there? So I'm interested to see how that all unfolds. I think it's just a matter of like, if you can get that gameplay loop to click for you, it'll feel great. But in terms of like a $70 premium product, I think a lot of audiences have been conditioned to think of some of the sort of smaller Kirby games.
Yeah.
They were kind of like eShop exclusives. They're like $10 each. They're mini games. That maybe that's what they go for. And then there's the Kirby 3D platformers. So it's going to be interesting how this sits next to some of the other bigger games that Nintendo sells.
I honestly thought this would be the perfect game for a Nintendo Switch online game where like you start off with City Trial and after like 2 months, suddenly they flip the map on you.
Yeah.
And like maybe City Trial goes away and it's a new one. It's like Landscape Trial.
Sure.
It'll be something
like
new.
what Fortnite does with their map, right?
But we also don't know what's in the game, right? Is there a surprise where there are other open hub maps that you compete in? We didn't really see much of the stages, and they showed a ton in the video instruction manual that Sakurai did. There were a lot of tracks. Like it's hard to tell what it will be, but they did crank this out fairly quickly, right? Development time was short, so maybe it's meant to be a little bit more of a compact experience.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very pretty looking game. It's a very chaotic and fun looking game. Actually controlling it gets a little cumbersome for me at times.
Yeah.
I had some issues with the camera a little bit. There was one power up that one player got that made us all tiny, and in Mario Kart, the camera stays exactly where it is.
Yeah.
And you're tiny for just a little bit, right? Then it goes back to normal.
Yeah.
This felt like a full minute. and the camera zooms all the way up, almost like you're looking down on micro machines on the floor. And I kind of looked over to you and I'm like, still going, huh?
There's a certain level of jank in this game,
Yeah,
right? Where
yeah.
it does feel like a 2000 era game, not like a modern game. Just the way it looks and controls and the chaos and the camera flipping and the hitting the rails and stuff. I don't know. Maybe you'll get to this point where you're like Neo in the Matrix and you're like, oh, you can just navigate this world without bumping into anything. But like, we clearly did not see that performance from these two players today.
We did not, no. But either way, welcome back Nintendo GameCube and all your jank and charm. We love you and we miss you. Pear, obviously, huge fan of the GameCube. You were like covering IGN during that whole era. But until then, Kirby Air Riders is out November 20th on Nintendo Switch 2. We'll have a review for it. We'll have preview coverage and Let's Plays. And I think people will love it. You and I aren't there just yet, but we want to play more of it. So either way, thanks for watching and stick around for more Gamescom right here on IGN.
Bye.